All right, let's do another video today, shall we? Anyway, like my shirt? Pretty nice. It's got stripes on it. And I'm wearing checkered shoes. But that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit about cheating. Ooh, shame, shame. No, not that kind of cheating. Cheating notes. So one of the things that, I've always admired about professional classical musicians is their ability to really just slot these notes and boom, they can hit, single, double octave jumps and really well. And that's a lot harder for me to do. I remember, all throughout my formative years, learning to play the instrument, that was one of the most difficult things, was to try to not flub a note, right? And crack a note and miss it. One of the things that jazz teaches you, or allows you to do, maybe is a better way of saying that, is kind of fix your slotting problems, because you don't always, unless you're playing like kind of commercial lead, you don't always have to be spot on with jazz, and it sounds good and it's actually expected. So what I mean by that is, instead of doing an octave or an interval, you can do note bending, which is not something that you often see in classical music playing. Perhaps I'm wrong. So, I don't remember doing this when I would be playing like, Bach or Hemmel or any of those kind of classical pieces. They were very, there were a lot of notes and not notes, but there was a lot of articulation and subtleties added to the sheet music that would tell you, get louder, get quieter, slur notes, staccato notes, that kind of thing. But I don't remember too many things that would explain that you would bend or kind of like half valve, if you know what I mean. Like, so if you play a note, if you want to play a full note, you would completely depress the valve. That gives you, in this case, like a B natural or F sharp, right? But if you press it kind of like right in the middle, you get this kind of interesting effect where you get kind of a weird sound, and you wouldn't necessarily play it unless there was something very unique about what you were trying to do on its own. But you can use that, and you've probably seen me do this a number of times, to slide into or staccato approach a note with a whole lot more confidence, because you're not going to miss it. Because even if you miss it, you're not going to hear it because the valve is partially pressed down. Let me see if I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. So if I were to do just a C, low C to middle C octave, right? Just a slur. That was right from one note to another. But in jazz, what I'm trying to talk about is, you might use, depending on the key you're in, but even that isn't super critical, you might choose to kind of bend in the note so you for sure don't miss that. Let me see. Ready? Did you hear that? I kind of like, I think it's called a glissando, perhaps. I just touched that valve just ever so slightly. And you can do it very much more pronounced or dramatically if that's the effect you're going for. Let me do it a couple different ways and see what we get. Can you see how gently I'm pressing that though? That works really well when you're trying to shoot for notes, especially as you get higher up in the octaves there. Because as you know, as a horn player, it all becomes your lips. How you change and control your embouchure can hit every note. You don't need to press the valves after about high C. It can be anything. So that's an interesting little technique that, I use it pretty much in every line. Like, I'll play a line and it'll be everywhere. You've heard this before. I did it to start, right? So instead of going, like, I'm breaking those notes down kind of like this. was all over that thing. And maybe you don't need to do that as much as I just did it there, but that's kind of like, I play guitar too, I tell you that. And that's kind of like string bending in guitar. So you can just go and just hit the note perfectly. But if you bend into it, I don't know, it gives it kind of a different vibe and a different feel. And everybody kind of does it a little bit different. And, you can start to develop your own style and sound that way. Plus, the real great part about that is if you've got an ear that can get anywhere close to being in tune, you can really bend yourself all over. Now, if you notice when I was playing there, I was bending the notes too with my lips. So not everything is this valve, but a good place to start, if you've never done this before, is to try to cheat, and use the valve itself. But you can bend, watch, I'll do some bending just with my lips. So if you can manipulate the note like that a little bit on your own, plus use the valve, that's when you really get to that sweet spot. So, maybe that tip helped you.